Ivanka Trump lost her composure during an interview with Cosmo. Now, that's Cosmopolitan magazine, and one of their reporters had the audacity to ask her some tough questions about Trump's policy on paid maternity leave, and Ivanka Trump did not like it. So the person who was interviewing her is Prachi Gupta. Want to give her some credit because these were great questions. They were not gotcha questions. This is not, what is it, hit and run journalism, as some conservatives claim.
Drive-by journalism.
Yeah, drive-by journalism.
I still don't.
I don't even know what that means. But nonetheless, these are good questions that you would expect from the Washington Post, New York Times. In this case, Cosmo was asking it. Now, here's what happened. Now, Donald Trump's Ivanka-backed plan proposes 6 weeks of paid unemployment benefits for women who physically give birth to a child, paid for by cutting fraud in the unemployment insurance system. It does not include any paternity leave or leave for a mother who adopted her child or whose partner gave birth. So I just want you guys to understand exactly what his proposal is before we get to the questions that were asked of Ivanka during the interview.
Okay, so let's just quickly go over why that might be problematic, which is going to come up in the interview. So guys don't get any paternity leave. So by the way, if you're a gay couple, two husbands, you're not part of this at all.
There's no family leave.
Sad day for you.
If you're a man, you're not covered. If you are a woman who didn't physically give birth, you are not covered. This is specifically for women who give birth, and that's it, which I think is unfair, okay? It takes more than just a woman to raise a child. So anyway, but let me move on.
Okay.
So here's the question that Gupta first asked. Paternity leave is said to be a great factor in creating gender equality. So I'm wondering, why does this policy not include any paternity leave? Ivanka Trump responds, this is a giant leap from where we are today, which is sadly nothing. Both sides of the aisle have been unable to agree on the issue, so I think this takes huge advancement, and obviously for same-sex couples as well, there's tremendous benefit here to enabling the mother to recover after childbirth. So she says, obviously for same-sex couples as well, except no, it's not so obvious, because if the person in the same-sex relationship didn't give birth, then that person is not covered under this proposal, right?
And besides which, it's not, as usual, it's not true. So she says, oh, no, neither side of the aisle has proposed anything. No, Hillary Clinton, for example, has proposed giving 12 weeks of paid family leave to new parents, also, by the way, dads. So she actually looks out for men more than Donald Trump does. So she has absolutely proposed it. It is a much better proposal than Donald Trump. And as usual, a lie from a Trump family member.
Yeah, and the way to pay for it makes more sense than, I'm going to pay for it by going after welfare fraud.
That's how he says he's going to pay for every program.
I know. And
every single program, welfare fraud. Like, how much welfare fraud is there? By the way, not that much.
Not that much, but that argument does well with conservatives, right? Because this is supposedly a liberal plan, and how do you sell it to conservatives? You go after welfare, right?
Yeah.
So
look,
anyway.
it's not to say there's no fraud. By the way, there's giant fraud from corporations who also take giant subsidies and welfare from us. But even if you took the much larger welfare fraud that we give to corporations, it's still nowhere near enough to pay for all the things. Whenever Trump asks any proposal, oh yeah, I'm going to give a $10 trillion tax cut. Literally, how are you going to pay for it? Oh, welfare fraud and inefficiency in the government. $10 trillion, really? Guys, he doesn't care. And Ivanka is a pleasant face that they put out there. Look, like women, look at this. She's a woman.
Yep.
And then she's here to tell you all very, very pleasantly these sweet little lies about how they're going to take care of you.
So there's more. The reporter follows up her answer by saying, okay, so when it comes to same sex, and I guess at this point Ivanka interrupts her and says, so it's meant to benefit, whether it's in same-sex marriages as well, to benefit the mother who has given birth to the child if they have legal married status under the tax code. So there she's a little more specific, but now you're kind of getting a sense that the proposal from Trump is not really that comprehensive. It wouldn't impact the lives of too many people, right?
And that's also her way of saying, okay, yeah, fine, we cover lesbians, but not gay dudes.
Yeah. So Gupta continues. In 2004, Donald Trump said that pregnancy is an inconvenient thing for a business. It's surprising to see this policy from him today. Can you talk a little bit about those comments and perhaps what has changed? She says, so I think you have a lot of negativity in these questions, and I think my father has put forth a very comprehensive and really revolutionary plan to deal with a lot of issues. So I don't know how useful it is to spend too much time with you on this if you're going to make a comment like that.
So everybody gives Ivanka Trump all this credit for being modern, unlike her dad. She's not at all modern. This is the same thing Donald Trump does. Yeah, I know these questions are very unfair to me. They're very unfair. I'm going to cry about these questions, right? And so this is, by the way, this is the most comprehensive and revolutionary plan that's ever been. Based on what? It's actually a weak sauce plan that is much lighter than the other plans that have been proposed.
Yeah.
And then now you're getting all touchy because they asked you,
journalist
asked you a real question.
Yeah, so I want to focus on that, like the broader, point to this story. Now, Ivanka is just a symptom of what I'm seeing in the media. And it's this idea that you go to an interview and you're expecting people to sit there and have tea and crumpets with you. You're not expecting anyone to ask you any tough questions. You're expecting them to allow you to do some free advertising. This is my free advertising opportunity. Don't ask me tough questions. And if you do, I'm going to cut the interview short, which is exactly what she did. Now, Gupta followed up by saying, I would like to say that I'm sorry the questions, you're finding them negative, but it is relevant that a presidential candidate made those comments, so I'm just following up. And she apparently said, well, you said he made those comments. I don't know that he said those comments. Okay,
that's what Ivanka is saying.
Yeah, that's what Ivanka says in response to Gupta, which is a very Trump-like response. Well, I don't know if he said that. I mean, he's my father, and I'm campaigning for him, but I don't know if he said that.
And those words came out of his mouth, but then other words came out of his mouth later.
So Gupta followed up. This is quoted from an NBC interview from 2004. I definitely did not make that up. I do want to talk to you a little bit beyond the plan as well. And she says, I think there's plenty of time for you to editorialize around this, but I think he put forth a really incredible plan that has pushed the boundaries of what anyone else is talking about. Not true. On childcare specifically, there are no proposals on the table. Again, not true.
Not remotely true. So Ivanka Trump obviously getting upset about all this, and then she decides, well, I've had enough of this. It turns out, shockingly, even though NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, all these other places I've ever gone on, all they've ever done is toss me softballs. Turns out, of all places, Cosmo is doing real journalism. So, no, I won't stand for it.
And she left. She left. Yeah.
She walked out. So, I mean, this is what our sorry state of journalism has come to, that you need Cosmo to step up to the plate because the rest of the mainstream media is so pathetic in their quest for having the Trumps on and access to the Trumps. And by the way, definitely to the Clintons as well. I just did a story the other day about how CBS edited a Bill Clinton interview to take out things that he didn't want in the interview. So we're left with Cosmo. And so God bless the reporter here. Wonderful job.
Really good job. And by the way, how did the rest of the media respond to this interview? Well, Forbes put out some sort of editorial, and the title of it was, Ivanka Trump showed Cosmo how a person with class behaves.
What?
Hold on.
Oh,
but
grotesque.
They deleted it. Now if you click on that link, you get a 404. Gee, I wonder why they deleted it. Maybe because they realized that is a ridiculous argument to make. A journalist should do his or her job by asking questions regarding policy to anyone affiliated to a campaign, right?
And by the way, so we're giving Prachi Gupta a lot of credit here, and she deserves it because she's outclassing the rest of the media. But these are not complicated questions. These are not like, wow, I really dug in here and found something that nobody else had found. These are all public record. Everybody has them. I know that he said those things. Anyone who does any cursory research on this. But our state of journalism is so pathetic that when you just simply Google something and you find out what he said in an interview and you ask that simple question, it's like journalism 101.
Yeah.
People in the establishment are like, how dare you? Don't you know we're above the law and we're above getting asked uncomfortable questions?
I'm never going to get interviewed by you guys again. I'm never going to appear on these shows again. Look, they have the power because they have the access, but the media shouldn't be obsessed with the access. If you can't get the interview, that's fine. You can still do journalism without getting the interview.
But they believe they can't, by the way. And last thing about the power dynamics, because it is what's driving this. Cosmo probably thinks that this is the one shot they've got in this, certainly in this election cycle, right? With a Trump, with Ivanka Trump, whoever it might be. So you might as well take your shot. CNN thinks I got to get them on tomorrow and the day after that, et cetera. And if I don't have them on, nobody will watch me. So what do you need? Yes, sir. Absolutely, Mr. Trump, sir.
Yeah.
You would like me to hire your former campaign manager who's still on your payroll and is legally not allowed to say anything bad about you. Yes, sir. You'd like me to pay him a lot of money? Absolutely, sir. I'll hire Corey Lewandowski right away, sir. So this is how we have the sellout BS media that we have. They suck at their jobs. There's so much more content if you're a member of the Young Turks. You get the post games, you get live interviews. I forgot the other things you get, but they're awesome. TYTnetwork.com/join.